You are not the one in charge of your destiny. It is not you that will determine the pace with which you will achieve all that God has said you will achieve. You need to trust God. Who would have thought that Joseph was actually closer to the palace than he had ever been in all of his history, even though he was deep down in the dungeon? Hello, how you doing, birthday girl? How did it go?
It was nice. It was nice, but it came with a lot of introspection. Um, I had to think about everything that has been going on in my life up to this point. And to be honest, I feel God has abandoned me. Like he has left me to be on my own, because I remember all the prophecies I've heard, all the visions I've seen personally, and I am not closer to fulfilling any one of it. It is dampening to think about it, and I'm not even sure I can become this thing God has said I would be. It is really, really getting to me, and I don't know what to do.
I can imagine how you feel, really, because, the very best one of us still has something we're holding out our hands to receive from God, really. Doesn't matter how much you think somebody has it better than you, there's still something the person is hoping and believing God to do in their lives. So at the end of the day, there always has to be hope in our hearts. You understand? Once there is no hope, there is no life. So what I hear you say is that there's a lot that you believe by this time of your life you should have achieved, things that should have happened, that has not happened, and you're discouraged. You're feeling like you're not keeping in pace with the plan of God for your life. But again, really, who determines the pace? That's a very good question to ask. Who determines the pace? I hope you're not using metrics from social media, from your friends, from your family members, the pressure from the community you stay and live in to determine the pace that your life should be going, and hurrying God up like, "Oga, what are you still doing? We should have gone much further with my life than now." And just think about this specific character in the Bible, Joseph. This guy tells his siblings that, "You know what, I'm the biggest deal since sliced bread." Very soon you guys will start bowing to me. I'm going to be really great. Every one of you, including my mother and my father, you would all bow to me. And then, of course, his brothers responded in hate, bitterness, and anger, and then they sold him into slavery. And then he gets into Potiphar's house and he's just doing his job. But then someone lies against him, frames him, seduces him. He's thrown into jail. All this time, 13 years had gone by. Now, if that guy was asked at any point during his, season at Potiphar's house or in the prison, how is your life? Are you making the right progress with your life? Are you moving in the direction of God's purpose? The prophecies you heard, that dream you had in your father's house, how is it going? I'm sure he would have perhaps thought the person was whining him, like, "I better forget prophecy. We'll survive day 1, day 2. Let's survive in the prison. Let's survive out there. Let's hustle." He would probably have forgotten that season of prophecy. But guess what? Nobody was closer to the promise than him. Nobody. His brothers seemed to have been making it in life. Imagine he had access to social media in the prison, and he's checking on Benjamin on social media. He's checking on Judah and all his other brothers and their social media handle, how this one proposed to his girlfriend, how this one just graduated from the university, how his father now has a new property in the mainland of Israel back then. Imagine how depressing it would have been that, see me, I'm just rotting in here in the prison, somebody's framing me for something I didn't even do, and I'm just a disappointment, I'm just a disgrace. What happened to all those prophecies that I saw? All right, and he could have genuinely been depressed by just observing all those things, but the Bible calls them lying vanities. You are not the one in charge of your destiny. It is not you that will determine the pace with which you will achieve all that God has said you will achieve. You need to trust God. Who would have thought that Joseph was actually closer to the palace than he had ever been in all of his history, even though he was deep down in the dungeon. He was deep down in the prison. But he was so close to the palace. He was so close to the fulfillment of that prophecy. That prophecy never died. That thing God said will come to pass. The Bible says, "This charge I commit unto thee, Timothy, my son," and in your case, you, my daughter, right? "According to the prophecies that went on before on thee, that thou mightest by them war a good warfare." What that means is you keep those prophecies in your heart, you never let them die, and you stay faithful in every season of your life. Joseph was not living in a world that did not exist. He was living and being faithful with what he had in front of him. He was faithful in Potiphar's house. He was faithful in the prison. When those guys did not remember him, he was faithful still. And by the time he got to the palace, he remained faithful. That prophecy will come to pass. But stop comparing yourself with other people. You have a different calendar, you have a different schedule with God. God has a very good handle of where you are in destiny. And He alone will bring you into that place of perfection. So don't be in a hurry. Don't be anxious. Don't feel like a failure. Don't feel like nothing is going well for you. God has got your back. All right? And you will make it in life by the grace of God. All right? God bless your heart.